I don't like to
You want
work.
the easiest path to
I
money.
want the easiest path. So to me, it makes sense to spend money to get my phone to ring. If 3,000 people see my message and they don't call, that's 2,900 less people I got to talk to that don't have motivation.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/016, and it's all about wholesaling. Wholesaling expert Dave Dodge joins us. If you Google his name on YouTube, you can find all sorts of videos from him. He's one of the top wholesalers here in my area in St. Louis. He's also been a Three Doors Network member for quite a while now. So we go way back. We actually have several mutual friends just from having grown up in St. Louis. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to break down and do a deep dive into his sales process and how does he lead generate and how does he get the properties under contract? What's the step-by-step playbook for how he has done hundreds of wholesale deals over the past several years. So I'm really excited to bring this to you today. Let's get started with the interview.
Okay, so we have Dave Dodge here. So Dave, you have been investing now for, is it right around 5 years? Is that right?
So full time, it's been 5 years. I've been investing in real estate for about 15, going on 16 years, but I've been doing it full time for 5.
Okay, so full time for 5, and you've been hovering the last couple of years around 100 deals, I think, of which how many are flips, how many are wholesales? How's that work?
So we're buying 100 houses a year. I think we did 98 and 18 and 92 and 19. We're on pace this year to probably do 80 or 90 as well. So not quite 100, but we're right up there. Typically we are buying and doing all of our marketing for our own portfolio, meaning we're looking for our own deals to buy and add as rental properties. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great, yeah.
Or we're buying to flip, right? So we have kind of an internal motto here, and I have 2 partners, Mike Slane and Bill Merritt, and our motto is keep the best, sell the rest. So what ends up happening is we do a lot of marketing to generate leads, and the leads in the marketing that we do, we market in areas that we really want to buy. So some of the types of marketing that I'm doing right now is radio advertising, which doesn't really fit in what I'm talking about because it's just broadcasted everywhere. So we do a lot of, or a little bit, I should say, of just general marketing. But then from there, we do direct mail, cold calling, and cold texting. But we focus those types of campaigns in areas that we want to buy and own property. So again, we're buying the best, we're selling the rest. Now, sometimes we'll stumble across a lead from that marketing that's not in an area that we may buy in wholesale. And then, of course, the leads that come in from the radio are just kind of everywhere. So we do a lot of marketing, but most of it, for the most part, most of it is specific to where we want to do our investing. When those leads come in, again, we buy the best and we sell the rest. So typically, in a perfect world, it'd be about 33, a third. But it kind of swings from time to time depending on how many projects we have going or if we're on a buying spree for our own rental portfolio or need a couple rehabs. But in a perfect world, we try to basically buy 2 of the 3 that come in and either flip ourselves or add to our portfolio. And then a 33% roughly share of, the leads that come in, we end up wholesaling off. So that's kind of what we do in terms of, what we do with the leads that come in, let's say.
So this is fascinating, guys, because let's dive into this one little saying here and let's expand up on it a little bit. So buy the best. So as far as just the buy the best part of it, So when you have your criteria, and Dave Dodge, Jim Manning,
Jim, you got any headphones, buddy?
Is the audio not that good? Let me stand.
Yeah, it's just echoing real bad, but it's all good. No big deal.
So again, this is the first time I've used this room to record. Thanks in advance for the audio.
No worries. You're good.
Good. I was telling everybody I have this nice mic and I forgot the cord, so
no worries.
So thanks in advance for being, the echoing of the audio. I'll fix that for next time.
You're good.
So buy the best. So let's break this down really quick, because I'm going to make an argument or a point that Dave Dodge, what's best for him, and Jim Manning was best for me, and Ryan Wessels, Bob DeClue, any of the other investors that are seasoned, we identify when we're seasoned, we've identified exactly what the best is to us. And Dave might be, what's best to him might be actually a little bit different than what's best for another seasoned investor, because it's exactly the exact buy box, the exact buying criteria. So it doesn't necessarily mean just because Dave wants to wholesale a deal that it's not necessarily the best deal for you. It's exactly what you're looking for. It might not just be exactly what's best for Dodge. So what is the best for you specifically, Dave?
So that's a great question, because it varies too from time to time. So, best has a lot of meanings to me, right? So best could mean, hey, this is a really, really good deal for me to rehab and retail and make a profit on. It could mean, hey, this is a deal that I'm going to be able to burr and add to my rental portfolio with little to no money, invested in the end, or sometimes even be able to walk and have a lot of equity in that property. Or best could be, hey, instead of, trying to make 30 or 35 grand on a flip, we can make 15 and we can get paid in a week. So, all of these are great problems to have. And best really just determines on, hey, how's the cash flow looking right now? What upcoming expenses do we have? How many projects are already in the queue for the rental portfolio? We in order for us to do what we do with rentals, we rehab every one of them. And we use the burst strategy, and we get loans based on the appraisal. So we leave little to no money in them. But the coolest part about it is we get a house basically for free, and it's rehabbed and rented. Getting a free house is one thing, but getting one that's producing and it doesn't need a ton of updates, within the immediate future because we did them already, that's the coolest part. So best doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make a great rehab or a great rental or a great wholesale. Best to me means, hey, what's best for my business right now? So when I say keep the best, sell the rest, we may sell off a crazy good deal, but it's best for my business to maybe make that 15 or 20 grand today to help pay some bills next week, then have 40 or 50 grand of equity in a rental that I may not see that cash for, 5 to 10 years. So it kind of varies. So it's not necessarily best in terms of the property itself. I'm really glad that you asked this question. Yeah. It's really, hey, what is the best for my business right now, right? So as a real estate investor, we're in the marketing business more so than we are in the real estate business. And some people may disagree with me on that, but the more deals that you start doing, the more you'll start to understand that. And that was the biggest epiphany that I learned when I first started, and I struggled for about 3.5 months to do a deal. I hired a coach, and he said, David, you're not in the real estate business, even though you think you are a real estate investor. You're in the marketing business. And like 2 weeks later, I started doing deals, right? I was like, all right, screw it. You're right. I could drive around and look at houses all day, but unless I'm making offers, I'm not going to buy any of them, right? So how do you make offers? Well, you get people that are motivated to either call you or you call them, and you start making offers. That's it. That's the whole name of the game. So wholesaling to me is a means to an end, right? It is a job. And I like to automate things in my life. I like to leverage other people. I like to leverage systems. So, wholesaling definitely isn't something that I wake up every morning and I say, let's go wholesale a deal. Instead, I wake up every morning and I say, hey, let's do some marketing. Let's generate some leads. And if we get a deal that makes a great wholesale, boom, we're going to wholesale it. But if it also makes a good rental, or if it makes a great flip, then that's really where the marketing becomes more of investing, right? So you become an investor, in my opinion, when you start taking risk. But you can eliminate a lot of risk by wholesaling, right? So a lot of little things that are in there. But to me, wholesaling is a job. It's a means to an end. My passion is rental properties and passive income. That's really, really what I like to do. We have a lot of fun fix and doing rehabs and retailing, fix and flips. And Bill, my partner Bill, he basically kind of handles that branch of the business. But I like doing it too. I tag along a lot on appointments and just help. I have a couple students right now that I'm partnering with. I joint venture with people to do flips, and a lot of it's just kind of building their confidence. It's like, once you do this 10 times, it's not any different than doing it 2,000 times. Yeah, you may learn a couple more things, but really at the end of the day, it's just math, right? You got to remove the emotion from real estate and just look at the numbers and look at your best case, look at your worst case, and be prepared for both, right? So
Yes.
a lot of it is just confidence. In fact, somebody messaged me on social media yesterday, can't remember what platform, and they said, what was the biggest hurdle for you in the beginning? And I thought about it, and I was like, man, this is a no-brainer. Like, why am I contemplating on this? And that biggest hurdle was spending money on marketing. That was what the hardest thing for me to do in the beginning, was to just say, okay, this isn't an expense, it's an investment. And I need to go spend $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 on marketing. I think my very first campaign, Jim, I spent $1,400 or $1,600. I was $62,000 in credit card debt. And I hired a coach too. So I spent like $4,000 or $5,000 on the coach. I spent $1,600 on the marketing campaign, which was basically just vacants in St. Louis. This is 5 years ago. And I sent a bunch of postcards out. And, the way I looked at it is going from $62,000 to, 67, 68,000 in debt doesn't even really affect me that much. Like, I'm in a bunch of debt. This sucks in this situation. So let's do something to make it better. Like, let's make an investment. And that was the biggest hurdle. The first 3.5 months that I tried, I was just cold calling people, just me by myself. Right. And I was only doing it for an hour or two a day, which, that's fine. That'll get you a deal in 2 months. But unless you want to get a deal from cold calling, you need to either have a dialer, which I didn't have, or you need to be putting in, 4 or 5 hours a day doing it. The flip side of that is you can pay for marketing to get your message in front of other people so they call you. And, as you get better at this business and you start doing deals, you need to make sure that you are allocating money to your marketing budget, because it makes it easier. I mean, think about it. If you have to call, 3,000 people to get, 10 leads to do one deal versus spend $1,500 to get 10 leads to come in to do one deal, you're answering a phone 10 times versus dialing out 3,000. I mean, I'm all about efficiency, right? So you have to spend money to generate those leads, but it's not a cost. It is an investment. And at this point, we've scaled back. We used to spend 12 to 15 grand a month for about 18 months to 2 years straight. I think we've scaled back over the last 4 or 5 months to probably more along the lines of 6 to 8,000 a month. But that also includes 2 full-time virtual assistants that I pay $5 and $8 an hour to. And they help a ton with a lot of those efforts, answering the phones. One of them does cold calling, about 50% of the time. The other works the texting platform that we have. And we just kind of do, so we're always doing marketing. We're always doing outbound texting, outbound cold calling. And then, of course, the radio. But occasionally we'll do mail campaigns too. So we're always doing marketing. But again, wholesaling is a job. I've automated it as much as I possibly can at this point, and have, people in roles like acquisitions and dispositions and so on and so forth to kind of let me work more on the business than in the business. But I still work in the business because I enjoy it, oddly enough. So like this morning, I went on an appointment down in South County, looked at a property, got pictures, and then I just send those over to my team. And then from there, they're gonna basically do the analysis and make the offer. And if we get it accepted, that's when I'll turn around and look at it again at this point. So I love systems. I love leverage. And it allows us to do more deals. So like the other day when you were on the call and you were saying that Kenton, I'm going to call Kenton now, but it's in a good way, buddy. Hope you're listening. Had done 50 deals. I'm like, well, shit, man, he's doing 3 times as many deals as I am. Right. But not necessarily because, I've leveraged a team around me. So it just kind of depends on what you're wanting to do. I personally don't do that many deals, although I am the one signing on the dotted line to be the buyer or the seller, and I'm coordinated. I'm kind of like the quarterback at this point. And it allows me to have more time, I'm not focused on all that little
Okay, so
stuff all the time.
so you're going over a tremendous amount of stuff. Let me slow you down
That's fine. Go ahead.
a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot that he said here, guys. So let's slow it down just a little bit. So when you say I
I
still,
got a lot of coffee in me today.
are you systematized to the point where you're really just going out on the appointment, and that's the piece that you like and negotiating?
So not even. I mean, really, like what I like to do is I like to go on appointments, but for one of two reasons. One, because I truly believe in, being a leader, not a boss. So if somebody on my team can't make it, I'm there. Call me, boom, I'm going to go on that appointment, right? So I always want to help any way that I can, right? Number two, I do enjoy it. Now, with that being said, I'm not like, hey, go line Dave up with like 10 appointments this week, right? But if you need me to fill in for 2 or 3 here randomly, boom, I'm down. I enjoy doing it. But again, I enjoy doing a couple, right? I'm not trying to line up 5 a day every single day. Now, one of my main acquisition guy, Travis Wakefield, incredible guy. I love Travis. He lives in Farmington, guys. He lives an hour, I don't even know, is it an hour and a half? Hour and 10 minutes south. He only comes up maybe once a week. He hasn't even come up in like the last 2 or 3 weeks because he hasn't really needed to. So, he works those phones along with my virtual assistant, generates those leads. And if he needs somebody to run out and take pictures, it's like, dude, don't drive an hour up. Like I'm, 20 minutes away from most properties here. Like I'll just run over, get pictures, and it gets me out of the house. I get to talk to people and so on and so forth.
So walk me through your sales process. So is Travis doing most of the sales virtually then, or is he going?
Yeah, I mean, so we use Podio for our CRM and REI Black Book for dispositions. And in Podio, we've built it out and spent I'm gonna sneeze, excuse me, guys. Spent a lot of time and money building it out. So it generates offer contracts with about 10 or 12 clicks. So we can generate an offer in about 30 seconds and have it emailed to a seller with right signature. It's not even signed by us. It's actually just a signature, like font. And we close deals with this contract every day, right? So like, don't tell my title company, but like, I don't even sign the purchase agreement. It's ink from a printer, right? So they send it out on my behalf. I'm CC'd, so I see what's going on, and I do it too. It's not just them. But then if the title company does require the signature, I'll just sign next to the
Okay, so you generate the lead, okay, and then Travis gets on the phone and talks to him. Clicks the button, creates Podio.
Yeah, Travis, one of the 2 virtual assistants, myself, Mike, maybe Bill if it's a good rehab opportunity, or Laura even too. Laura's my disposition girl, and she's great as well.
Okay, so
does work some leads from time to time.
So you negotiate the deal completely virtually on the phone, and then
Say that again.
Do you send the offer before you go out to the property, or do you?
It depends. I mean, typically we don't want to waste a bunch of time, so we'll just give them a spread. We'll just say, listen, we're investors. We don't pay retail. We have 3 points of value here, as is, cash, and quick. That's it. I mean, that's all we are doing. We are, as investors, we are providing liquidity to the marketplace, especially wholesalers, right? Like, let's look at the big picture. What does a wholesaler do? Well, he provides liquidity to a marketplace that doesn't typically have very good liquidity, right? How long does it take, Jim? Let's have a conversation for a second. How long does it take to sell a house typically after you rehab it? Like to get paid?
Yeah, I mean, it can very well take, let's say best case scenario, it sells on the market day 1. It can still take 30, 45 days, but it's
okay. Perfect. And if it takes 30 to 45 days to sell, to close, it's another 30, 45 days, right? So again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah, and that's
wholesalers come along. They say, "Hey, we'll buy your house in 2 weeks," and we do. We've closed on houses in 4 days before, right? But if we're going to offer a level of convenience, we got to get a discount, right? That's the name of my brand, Discount Property Investor. I've got to give Mike Slane credit. He coined it. I think it's incredible because that's what we do. And I tell this to sellers all the time. I'm overly transparent. I say, hi, I'm David Dodge. I don't pay retail, but I would love to buy your house. If you need a level of convenience that is ultra high, guess what? I have it, as well as cash, and I'll buy it as is, and we'll do it quick. That's the convenience that I offer. But I'm not going to offer that to you just because I'm just such a nice person, right? I need to get a discount. This has to be the win-win scenario. So that's it. We offer to buy properties at a discount, and in return, we give them a level of convenience that is unmatched. They're not going to be able to get that via an agent or elsewhere. And that is the pitch, right? If they say, oh, I'm not looking to sell at a discount, goodbye, right? Virtual assistant, put them on a follow-up drip. Call them every 2 or 3 months or even every year. I don't want to talk to that person again until they need my level of convenience, right? So you have to understand a couple simple things. You are in the liquidity business and you are trading convenience for a discount. That's the highest level that you can get, right? Now, you do that by solving their problem, and you have to make it a win-win scenario. And at the end of the day, it is a job though, right? Wholesaling. So, take the wholesaling hat off and put the investor hat on by cherry picking the best ones. And again, best is relative to your own business and metrics within, what your goals are and how you plan to reach those goals, right? So it's not just like best, like it's a good location or a good rental. Like best is what are your needs now and what are your goals, and let's work out the strategy to get there, right? So yeah, we're in the liquidity business. We're in the marketing business ultimately. And we trade convenience for a discount. And it's really that simple, right? People get ahead of themselves a lot, especially new students that come on and they say, man, you just know so much about this. And I'm like, you know what? I failed a million times. But at the end of the day, all I really look for is motivation and a problem, right? How can I solve this person's problem? And do they have enough motivation that they need, not want, but need a high level of convenience? If they don't need a high level of convenience, Jim, then they're not going to be willing to sell it to me at a discount. And therefore, I have no interest in wasting my time on that. Now, I'm not saying I won't take the call and be nice and give them advice and maybe even offer to list it, because we do have a brokerage here as well. But that's like not my pitch. Like I don't try to point people towards brokerage listings. I want to buy. I want to build my portfolio. I want to fix and flip. So if that's what the only option for them is, then of course, hey, we'll do it at a discount or we'll hook you up or whatever it is, just so we can get a little bit more revenue. But our model and our business is buying to build a portfolio of rentals. I think as of today, we have 61 or 62. We just sold a couple off. We got another one closing Friday. So we are selling some of them turnkey right now, but it's only because the market is so hot. We're not really trying to downsize our portfolio, but we are doing what some would consider, some rebalancing. We're getting rid of some of the ones that we don't really, want necessarily, buying some new ones. We're also paying off some debt. So it's
okay. So
actually going.
So let's circle back real quick. Okay. So lead comes in. Do you have one of your VAs? Are you sending them to a voicemail recording, or is one of your VAs like picking up and?
Yeah, so I have all of the inbound calls from 9 to 6 are answered live. We don't have a call service. We used to have a call service. At this point, we just let them leave a message, or if they call and don't leave a message, they just get called back at 9:01 a.m. the very next morning, and we keep calling them until we reach them. We've had services in the past. Yeah, it may be good to have those services because you can jump on those leads a little quicker. But the way we look at it, is like we don't like competing with other people necessarily. So it's like if they're, in that much of a hurry, it's probably going to get bid up anyway. If they can't wait till 9 a.m. the next morning, so what? So move on. So we don't have a call service, and we have one virtual assistant. He's in the Philippines. He does work our time zones essentially. So he works 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And all the inbound leads go to him. He's my lead. I guess you'd call him my lead manager.
Okay, so he picks up the phone and he's really just doing the initial screen, trying to find for motivation.
Yeah, his job is very simple. Hey, thanks for calling House Sold Easy. We're a St. Louis home buyer. We'd love to buy your house. What is your name? What's your address? What's a good number to reach you back at? And how'd you get our information? That's basically what we start with, so we can track our metrics. And then last but not least, why are you calling? Tell me about your house. Tell me about your situation. What can we do to help you? By the way, we're investors. We don't pay retail. We just want to make that very, very clear to you. However, It sounds like you may be having a problem, and guess what? We're expert problem solvers. So let's talk about this. And that's it. That's the pitch. It's so incredibly simple. We don't use call scripts. We don't use anything along those lines. We just make a friend. All right. We don't want our conversations on the phone to sound scripted. We don't want them to think that, we're trying to lead them down some path of resistance or whatnot. Right. We are, hey, we are here to help. Maybe we can't help you, right? Maybe our offer won't work for you. But, if you need a high level of convenience, there, AKA you have some motivation, guess what? We helped 98 people last year. I'm pretty sure we can help you too. And that's it. We start with the problem and we just try to work our way backwards to buying a house from it.
Okay. So then is he then moving it along?
So he'll take down the general information and basically and then once that comes in, so he creates a lead, and then that lead automatically tags my team and myself to review. And then from there, we'll distribute it. So certain people like certain parts of town on my team, like certain people like North County, others like South City, others like West County. So depending on where that lead comes in, somebody will pick or choose to work it, or we'll even assign it to somebody. And then from there, it's their job to call that person back and set an appointment. The original person that's taking the calls, they don't set any appointments. They just keep it simple. They try to make a friend and let them know that, this is a business to us, yes, but at the same time, like we do care. We do want to work with them and see what we can do to help them with their problem. And if there's a level of motivation that's there, then we'll call them back right away, somebody on the team, and set up an appointment or talk further. And if the level of motivation isn't that high, then we may not even call them back right away. We may wait a week or a month, just because it's like we're not in a big hurry to offer a bunch of convenience to somebody that doesn't want to sell a discount. Again, that's the trade-off, guys. Don't forget that. You are trading convenience for a discount. If somebody isn't willing to provide you a big discount on a property, why would you continue to try to offer them a crazy amount of convenience? Like, this blows my mind when a lot of investors get in the game. And I get it if you're just like chasing deals and wanting to do deals. But a couple of years ago, I decided, hey, I'm going to quit chasing deals, right? Yeah, I'm going to follow up. That's not what I said. I didn't say I'm going to stop following up. I said I'm going to quit chasing deals, right? And my life got a whole hell of a lot easier because I basically just lead with, I'm an investor. I don't pay retail. However, I would love to buy it.
So, hey,
you want my level of convenience? Then you have to give me a discount, or else I'm going to take this level of convenience, which is just money, and I'm going to go find somebody else that does need that level of convenience. And I'm going to make, hopefully let them, sell me the deal at a discount, and then a win-win will be created.
So let me add to this, guys. So listen to his mindset on it. You can do that, and you can get to that if you know you're going to get another 10 leads tomorrow. You're going to get another 10 leads the rest of the week, or whatever his lead volume is. If your activity level, it's a numbers game. If your activity level's to where, you're just going to once an hour a week do some cold calls, that's the lead generation strategy that you pick. When you get that lead that comes in, whether they're motivated or not, you're going to chase after it, because you kind of have to at that point, because you've put yourself in a position that you really don't have options, because you haven't done enough lead generation to be able to get into that mindset.
100%. 100%. But that has repercussions too, though, because if you're calling somebody every 3 days and they don't answer for 10 times, so that's 30 days have gone by, called them 10 times, and they finally answer on that 33rd day, that's the 11th phone call, and you put yourself in their shoes. They're like, man, this guy really wants to buy my house. Like, I'm going to get as much as I possibly can. Well, if I call somebody, let's say every other week, and then maybe a month goes by when we don't, and then we call them, they're like, okay, yeah, I mean, I've been kind of ducking this guy. I've been busy. Let's finally meet. Or if they just call us back, boom, that's where the motivation comes in. So we stop chasing just because it helps eliminate the tire kickers. It helps eliminate the non-motivated people. But the thing about motivation is it comes in waves, not for us on this call, but for our motivated sellers. They may not be motivated today, but they'll be motivated on Tuesday because they had a bad day at work. So you definitely want to have a high amount of engagement I guess engagement is the right word, with your motivated sellers. So there's a difference between not chasing and not following up. And again, I'm not saying don't follow up. We have an amazing follow-up system. We use humans. They call, they text, they email. We don't have a ton of automation. We just do it the old-fashioned way. But we make sure that they know that when they are ready for that level of convenience, we would love to talk numbers with them.
So one of the biggest mistakes I made when I was starting out was I would get that lead, and then if they didn't accept the offer, I'd move on to the next one, and I didn't follow up at all. If you do your follow-up right, industry standards are 70 to 80% of your deals should come from over 30 days of follow-up. What do you know? Do you have your numbers dialed in? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly, but it takes us 4 to 6 months to close a deal from initial contact on average.
And beginning
4 to 6 months, guys. So we're probably doing a little less than we normally do. We usually average 8 to 10. I'd say the last 2-3 months we're probably more like 6 or 8, just because of the situation with the economy and COVID and all that bullshit. But it's 6 or 4 to 6 months for it to close. So that's on average. So that's 5 years worth of data too, right? So do we get a call today sometimes, or on a day, and then have an appointment later that day or the next day? Get it under contract that day or the next day and have it sold the next day? All the time, right? But there's also people that we mailed 4.5 years ago that were finally, their motivation is finally at the level where they're willing to, and you guys are going to get tired of me saying this, but you need to hear it. It's going to get to the point where their level of motivation was high enough that they were willing to trade their property at a discount for my convenience. It's so incredibly simple. So when you average 5 years of data, it's about 4 to 6 months on average to do a deal. And I think that that's going to basically be pretty consistent over the next 5 years too, right? Sometimes they go quick. Sometimes you have to keep following up with these people.
So one of the hardest things when you're starting out is getting over that hump, realizing that if you're doing everything right, your business and the income you can make really isn't really going to start till months 4 through 6, as you have some of those follow-ups that are coming through, and getting over that hump. Because only a certain percentage of them, it's 10 to 30%, depending on how you're running your business, are going to be within that first 30 days from the lead. So okay, so let's go back to your sales process, because this is amazing. Just so you know, I just had a chat come in that said this is an awesome call with like 3 exclamation points.
Sweet. I hope you guys are learning something.
So lead comes in, initial. So I call it an inside sales agent, ISA, that takes the initial call. So ISA, you call them lead manager, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. Takes the phone call, filters the lead, it creates information on them. You send the lead over to the team, and then the team decides, okay, this is the best lead for the North County investor on your team. Okay.
Essentially. So basically the ISA, they take the information, they try to build rapport. Like that's kind of the main thing that they do. They just they are the first contact with my company. So if these initial calls last 20 or 30 minutes, that's completely fine with me. I want them to know that we are here to help, and that we buy a lot of houses, and that we have rentals. And I want them to try to make a friend, just get as much information as possible. But they also, make themselves very clear that like they are the lead manager, and that they will connect us, or that they will connect that seller, with one of the buyers on the team. But they don't want to waste their time, right? So they want to make sure that we can help them. And then they enter it into Podio, which is a CRM. And then it automatically, when the lead's created via, some automations we have set up, it just tags and notifies everybody on the team. And then that virtual assistant, or ISA, then goes in and runs comps for us, pulls an ARV. They pull like a screenshot of the comps. They pull an AVM. They pull a Zestimate. Just basic general data that we can kind of use on the fly to analyze that property. I don't spend a ton of time analyzing properties prior to seeing them. Honestly, I'll look at those simple numbers like a Zestimate, an AVM, PropStream has an estimate as well that we use, Redfin. I mean, we'll pull a couple of those and we'll just kind of average it, and we'll just start there. And then once that we see that there's a level of motivation, then we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive to determine those ARVs or the values of those properties. But from the hip, it's like, if they're not willing to sell it at 70 to 80 cents on the dollar, again, their motivation isn't high enough. They're not willing to trade it for a discount. Therefore, why should I give them a level of
okay? So VA does the initial comp, and your comp range is, let's say it's 100,000 to 120,000 on what the resale ARV, the after repair value would be. So then, and he assigns it to you, Dave. So then you pick up the phone call and you set an appointment, or you're actually call and then you kind of go.
I mean, both. I mean, if they're hot and they're motivated, the ISA will set the appointment. I mean, they're obviously trained to do that, and they'll just call me and say, "Hey, Dave, are you available now?" I'll go there, right? Or can you meet Tuesday at 6 or whatever? Like they will set the appointment. But typically, if they're not super motivated and they need to sell it, or it's not on fire as we speak, they'll just tag me in it along with my team. We'll kind of analyze it and we'll say, all right, who would be the best to work with these sellers? Now, we have a very diverse set of people in St. Louis, right? Like we have a Bosnian population. We have, white people. We have African-American people. We have Asian people. We have different type of people. So certain people on my team work better with certain people, right? So like if it's in an area of town that is, highly concentrated with a certain type of person, we may have somebody on the team that works really well with those people. So it wouldn't make sense for me to go there whenever somebody else might be able to do it better, right? So we don't really have territories for our buyers. It's really just like, hey, what's your level of expertise? Who do you work well with? When those type of leads come in, we're going to give them to you, right? So yeah, they generate the lead. We then review. From there, we'll either call the person up just as a second call, just to kind of introduce ourselves, and again, kind of re-engage them, as well as determine that level of motivation. If an appointment needs to be set, we'll set one. Again, if they're not really motivated, I don't want to waste time going there. However, the catch-22 on this is, I said this earlier, levels of motivation with sellers, they change, and they change very rapidly. So it is a good idea to get out and meet these people, build a little bit of a rapport, AKA just make a friend, guys. It's so simple. And then get the pictures, because then in a month or two, or in 4 to 6 on average, like I said, when they do have that bad day or whatever happens and that level of motivation increases to where they're willing to trade at a discount, you guys heard me say that a couple times today, for convenience, then boom, we might already have those pictures. So there's a fine line between, do I go now and get those pictures and try to make a friend, or is it just going to be a complete waste of time, right? So, that's kind of hard to determine, but we can kind of figure it out a little bit by just saying something very simple like this, guys. This is so incredibly simple. Steal it. I hope you do.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that we're launching a free Facebook group to continue the conversation about this episode, or really anything and everything else that's on your mind. We're calling it Doors to Deals, and we'll have access to the to the Facebook group on our website, doorstodeals.com. You can also find it on Facebook as well. Doors to Deals is the name of the Facebook group. So if you want to continue the conversation, connect and meet people and help us launch this thing, please join the group. I'd love to have you on it, and look forward to kind of seeing you online on Facebook. Thanks, guys.
We can kind of figure it out a little bit by just saying something very simple like this, guys. This is so incredibly simple. Steal it. I hope you do. Use your own name. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm an investor. I buy houses cash, quick, as is, but I don't pay retail, right? So if you are willing to, give me a slight discount, you don't have to say massive, but a slight discount, I can make your life incredibly easy. I'll buy it cash. You have to clean it as is. We'll close quick, relatively, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, not 4 months, right? And you don't have to do any cleaning, any painting, any repairs. And if it's filled with shit and trash, keep it. I like those kind of houses. Is it filled up? Great. Oh, when can I see it? I mean, that's it. It's so incredibly simple. Solve problems, make friends. That's it.
So let's talk a little bit more about the appointment or not. And let me kind of start this out with just a quick little story in my career. When I first started out, I had a homeowner lead come in, and I did the normal filtering, the normal questions. And she had mentioned that her spouse had passed away. but like she was stone cold poker face. There wasn't really any emotion in her voice. For whatever reason, it just didn't feel like she was that motivated. And I decided to go on the appointment anyway. So it was it wasn't one of those, but I decided, well, there could be pain there because of what happened with the spouse, right? So I was like, I'm just going to go anyway. It doesn't seem like she wants that. And then the second I get there, she breaks down into tears and is crying about like the loss of her loved one. And I didn't think ahead of time to even bring an offer. So like I had to then go back to my house, print out an offer, and then bring it back a second appointment the same day. And we end up having a great deal. She just needed to be done with the property. So what do you do, Dodge, on kind of those gray area ones to go on the appointment or not? Like when do you do you have any kind of rules in place, or do you?
I got a couple things to say on that topic. So number one, put a bunch of contracts in your trunk right now. Everybody, don't go back. Just have them with you, right? Just have some basic contracts. If you want to use special sale, that's fine. I hate special sale. It's way too long and people don't want to read through it. I use simple 1 and 2 page contracts. Print off 50 to 100, throw them in your trunk. You never know when you might need them, right? So that's number one. Number two, we talked about this a second ago, Jim. You don't know when their level of motivation is going to peak. On the phone call, it didn't sound like it did, but when you got there, the sentiment kicked in. She missed her husband, poor lady, right? The motivation skyrocketed. So when do we determine when we want to make an appointment? Again, I think it falls back to best for you and your business, right? Is that a part of town that you are willing to go to get pictures because you hope the level of motivation gets higher sooner than later? Well, yeah, run those appointments. If it's in a place that you don't buy, right, and you don't care, that's not best, right? So when I say keep the best, sell the rest, same with appointments. Good part of town, I'm going to go. I don't care if they're not even that motivated today, because in 6, 8, 10 months, maybe they will be. I'll already have my pictures. Maybe I'll even have a contract that I'll give them that they laugh at. But in 6 or 8 months, all of a sudden that looks like, they need the convenience all of a sudden, right? So couple things there. And I don't want to get off on too many topics, but A, put contracts in your car. B, best for you and your business, right? If the level of motivation is high, doesn't really matter where they're at, go. If it's not that high, well, then start looking at the market, start looking at what you're looking for, and start looking at, do you like that part of town? Is it going to be worth your time? Or are you willing to waste time on an appointment in Kirkwood? I would be, yes, versus, Castle Point. Like, I'm buying a Castle Point. If you guys got anything up there, I'm only going to give you $200 to maybe $1,500 but the cash is green, right? I'm not going to go look at those houses. Probably even if I buy them, I'm just going to, look on the map or maybe send someone up to drive by. But if it's in Kirkwood and I live in Des Peres, so it's like a 3-minute ride for me, I'm going to go, right? Just because it's right in my wheelhouse of what I'm looking for, right? So best isn't necessarily defined by highest and best of the property itself. It's more about your goals and your business, right? A lot of people have these big goals, but they have no plan, which really just means they have a lot of dreams. So, what are your goals? Well, mine are very simple, wholesale, because it's a means to an end and I enjoy it, right? And I'm going to buy the best and I'm going to sell the rest. And my passion is building a huge portfolio of rentals. So my goal is build portfolio of rentals via wholesale marketing. And we'll do a couple flips in there as well because they're fun, right? But I know every day when I wake up that wholesaling is a job, right? So the faster that I can build my portfolio of rentals, the better. And how better way to do it than generating my own leads direct to the seller. And we keep the best. And again, best is, I don't know the right way to phrase this, but it's relative to you.
So,
you
so
only, right?
Let me add to this. Can I add to this really quick? So,
Please.
There's Ryan and I a few months ago got into like a little bit of like a
You guys put the gloves on?
discussion. It wasn't an argument; it was a discussion. And it was like, okay, well, what's most important? Like knowing your numbers and the criteria of your buys, or lead generating. And if you think about it, guys, like I can literally, any of you can go get 100 leads within 20 minutes by randomly calling a realtor and saying, hey, set me up for a search on the MLS, and you can get 100 leads at a search that takes them 5 minutes to get you. if you don't have what the best criteria is for your business and are crystal clear on what that is, those 100 leads really don't mean anything. Like, you have no way to filter. So in my mind, it's defining what is the best buy, the best criteria for yourself first, and then getting those most amount of leads that you possibly can, so then you can filter in and get those buys on that criteria. So when he says kind of buy the best, the thing about it is like Dodge is crystal clear on what the best means for him. So like your let's talk about this really quick. So your Burr properties, your rentals, what's the exact criteria that you guys have identified for a property that you like for your parking lot?
So I got to shout out my business partner, Mike Slane. Again, he just put together a free course, and I'm not here to pitch you guys on it, but you should check it out. It's really awesome. And our rental metrics calculator Excel sheet is in it, and it's freelandlordcourse.com. So go there, check it out. But I will explain it as well. So we look for 20,000 in equity. We look for properties that we can burr our way out of and be in them for zero. We've done about 50 over the last, 14, 15 months, give or take. And our average amount of money left in those deals is $1,200. And the only reason that it's positive and not negative, which would mean we'd actually have none of our own money in it, is because in the beginning we weren't that good at it, and we've gotten better and better as we go, right? So we started leaving in the beginning, 4, 6, 8, 10 in the deal, and then we've kind of got ourselves down to, zero. And recently we've even done deals where we've been able to pay back our lender for both purchase and rehab, and walk with $2, $3, $4 grand after the refi. I forgot what the question was. What was the question?
So no, you actually answered the first two components of it. So you're looking for 20K.
The metrics. Yeah. So we want 20 grand. We want we want 20 grand worth of equity. We want to have at least 250 in cash flow. Now that's not necessarily per unit. That's just that's for a single family. It gets a little bit more complicated when it's multi, but for a single family, we want 250 in cash flow.
Okay, and then location. Like, are you crystal clear on location? Like, where do you go location wise?
Nope, doesn't matter about the location. We do not buy over 1%. We really shoot for more like 1.2 to 1.3%, and that's more of a return on investment type of thing, guys. The 1% rule, if you aren't familiar, you want your monthly income on the property, gross income, to be 1% of the purchase price plus the repair, or 1% of your all-in cost. So if you buy a property for 80, you put 20 in it, you're really into it for 100K. You want that property to rent for at least $1,000. That's 1%. So we do not buy anything that we rent that is over the 1% rule. Some of our properties are even closer to the 2% rule. Essentially, that's a property that you're all in for 40 grand and it rents for 800. Again, our average is 1.2 to 1.3, 1.35, somewhere in that range. North County, South City, anywhere that works. That does not work in Clayton. That does not work in Kirkwood, typically. It does not work in Chesterfield, typically. Not always, typically. So, of course, we're going to have a lot of rental properties in Florissant, Hazelwood, Ferguson, as well as not so much Dutchtown, but like, South City, where you can get properties at a steep discount, add value to them, and refi out. So 250 minimum cash flow, 20 grand minimum equity. And then we like to leave, less than, let's say, 2 grand in the deal. So the spreadsheet that we have, I don't know if it's actually not an Excel, it's a Google Drive or Google Sheets. But the way Mike has it set up is when you go to view it, you can copy it into your own drive, and then boom, you have your own copy of it. It's really, really cool. But one of my favorite things about it is there's only 4 things that you can really input. There's like 3 different types of, it's all color coordinated, right? So the first boxes are and there's a legend, but they're empty, and you fill in your numbers. The next couple boxes are kind of a light gray, and you can tweak those, but typically once you get those set, and that's just criteria that your lender is going to give you. Is it a 20-year loan? What's the interest rate? So on and so forth. What's the percentage of loan to value that you're going to get? So you can adjust those if needed, but typically once you put them in, they're fixed. And I think they're defaulted to what we use. And then the last but not least is your output. And Mike has this really, really great system of color coordinating shit. So it's like if it's green, yellow, or red. So I put in my numbers. I don't even read the output. Is it all green? Boom. So basically the way he has it set up is it's above my head, but if it's at or above our minimums, it's green. If it's not and it's close, it's yellow or orange. And if it doesn't have 20 grand in equity, at least 250 a month in cash flow in a BRRRR strategy that will allow us to cash out for basically less than 2 grand, then those won't be all green. So when we import a property in there and it's all green, we buy it. All right. We remove the emotion from the game. This is a numbers game. We look at the high and the low side of both the comps, right? But if the numbers make sense, we buy it. So the only mistake we could have is that we overestimate our ARV or we underestimate our repairs. That's really it, right? And those happen. We're not perfect, but the more and more times that we do it, the better we get. And again, that's kind of why we're getting better at this. As I mentioned earlier, we use the BRRRR strategy. We've done about 50 of them, give or take, and our average is about 1,200. So the next 50, hopefully the average will be negative 1,200, and we'll be at $0 in 100 houses, right? And we'll essentially have, zeroed out the average of what we've left in these. That's kind of the goal.
Okay, so we have just a few more minutes left, and if you all have questions for Dave, I think I have one more topic that I really want to hammer on with him while we have him. Dave, if you have to run at 11, you have to run.
No, I'm good. I got all kinds of time.
If some of these members that are on the call, if you guys have some questions, maybe we can go a little bit over the normal 11 on.
I got all kinds of time.
So if you guys have any questions or start thinking of questions, we'll do it. But one final thing that I'd like to get with you, okay? So now you're at the appointment and you're negotiating the deal. What is just a quick high level view of your sales process when you're negotiating appointments with the homeowner?
Yeah. So guys, I'm not a sales guru. I haven't bought a bunch of sales courses. I'm not a high level of intensity type of a salesperson. My kind of approach is I can offer you convenience if you're willing to kind of part with some of the equity there, right? Like if you can give me a discount, and if you are, great, let's do it. Let's try to work this out. Otherwise, like, I don't know if I can really help you, right? So like, I don't really have a bunch of negotiating tactics up my sleeve. I do love using silence. I'll make an offer. I don't have a problem with, awkward silence. I think that helps a lot, but we're kind of firm with our offers. If somebody says, okay, well, we're going to shop it, go for it. If you can find a better offer, listen, yeah, it's going to be less money that my business is going to generate, but I truly want the best for these individuals out there, right? So if you can get somebody that's going to pay you more, please go find that person. I'm not going to help you find them, but if you do, great. Otherwise, here's kind of where my offer's at. When I say that we're really firm with our offers, meaning that, we will negotiate up. Like whenever we determine our MAOs, we don't offer MAO. We always offer a little less, but we're not really willing to come up all that much. So basically, whenever, me and my team internally say, hey, meet them in the middle, that means this. I got to look and make sure I'm in the right camera. Here's where my offer's at. Here's where they want me to be, right? When we meet them in the middle, I'm going to come up about 10%, maybe 15, and they're going to come down 85. That's meeting in the middle, in my opinion. All right. So yeah, nobody wants to negotiate with somebody that's like ultra firm. So we do pad in some negotiation numbers, but typically not a lot. And we justify our offers with a credibility packet. So we'll send them a proof of funds. We will send them information about the title company. We'll send them either a purchase and sale contract or an option agreement. We'll have our closing coordinator reach out to them, even if they hadn't signed, just to let them know, hey, this business is serious. I need to either, make up my mind or let them know that I'm not going to sign, and so on and so forth. So there's definitely no high pressure sales tactics. There's definitely. Are
you doing the offers in person?
No secrets. It doesn't matter. In person, over the phone. Again, we're very transparent. So we'll also come in and we'll just say, listen, here's what we think it's worth. Fixed up, but it's not fixed up. So, in order for us to, let's just use some simple math, guys. ARV is 100K. It needs 20 grand worth of repairs, right? They're going to say, well, I should give it to you for 75, right? You put in 20 and you make yourself 5 grand. It's like, no, I'm going to lose 5 because I have agent commissions, holding costs, closings, taxes, all these things. It needs to be lower than that. And it's only worth 100 after I put that 20 in. So it's not worth 80. It's not worth 75. It's barely worth 70. I'd be really more comfortable at 60 to 65 grand. Again, it's not going to be worth 100, that ARV, until you do a new kitchen, new roof, and floors, period. Right? So we're overly transparent about how we come up with our math. And then a lot of times whenever we're doing our MAO formula over the phone or in person, they say, well, 70%, you're multiplying my property by 70%. That's 30% profit. Wrong. That's 12 to 15% profit. The other 15% helps pad closing costs, commissions with agents. Seller concessions is huge, right? At the last minute, when you go to sell it, you're going to have to do repairs. So that's a cost. Private lender interest or interest in general. I mean, all these things add up, and they typically add up to about 15% of what you bought it for, or of the ARV's amount. So whenever we say, hey, sometimes I won't multiply a property by 70%. Instead, I'll do it twice. I'll say, all right, 15% for holding cost and 15% for profit, because it helps them understand, hey, I'm not trying to make 30%, but I am trying to make 15. Again, we talked about this earlier, Jim. I'm in business, and the definition of business is the act of making money. And what I do is I offer convenience for a discount. So if you don't want to offer me the discount, no problem. We'll call you back in 2 weeks or in 2 months, right? But if I'm going to come out of my shell and offer this massive amount of convenience to you, then you have to give me a discount. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. So, and then it's really just building rapport and trust. And so when, like if I was a homeowner, I was just, as he was talking, I was thinking to myself, okay, if I'm a homeowner listening to Dave talk, I would trust this guy 100% because of how, he's just being completely transparent and honest. He's not like trying to hide.
No, and I tell people, hey, I'm not buying this house to move in it. I'm going to buy it to do one of three things. One, I'm going to fix it up and rent it and put a nice family in there. I always say that because it sounds so nice. Two, I'm going to fix it up and I'm going to sell it retail to a nice family. Again, it sounds nice. Or three, I'm going to flip it for a couple $1,000 profit. But at the end of the day, why does any of that matter to you? You just want to sell it. And guess what? I want to buy it, right? So I tell them on the exit, or my exit, before I even typically offer a number. I say, this is what my plans are. If you want to fix it up and flip it, great. Let me know how I can give you pointers. But typically they don't have money to do it, or they don't want to do it. That's why they're calling us, right? No. So I just take the transparency approach. I just love that approach. It eliminates people getting mad whenever we are wholesaling and a buyer falls out, because I'll tell them, hey, I bought 90-ish houses last year. There's no possible way that one human, unless they won the lottery or they're just a genius, could do this on their own. We have a lot of partners, and most of those partners are, equity partners or private lending partners. And if they back out for whatever reason, it's not me that backed out, it's my partner. So let me have some more time to go find a new partner, right? If you explain that to them in the beginning, when that does happen, and it doesn't happen often, maybe 1 in 20, 1 in 30, it eliminates an argument or them backing out of your agreement at the last minute, right? So I just had a coaching call with one of my students this morning, and he said, Dave, do you try to collect non-refundable earnest money on the B2C agreements, like on your assignments or on your double close sale agreements for wholesaling? And I said, absolutely, but it doesn't have to be a ton. I'm not asking for $2,500. Typically I want $500 to $1,000 unless the person's reputable, like anybody on this call here. But if I don't know them or they're a new buyer, I want to see that $500 to $1,000 non-refundable. Not because that's money going to me, but what happens is when they back out and that money's non-refundable, I take it and I give it to the seller. Hey, I told you from the get-go that I had partners. One of them kind of just screwed me. They screwed us. But guess what? I got $500 or $1,000 out of them. It's not mine. It's yours. It's going to go help pay the mortgage for another month. I need some more time. And whenever you go in with the transparency, people want to work with you. They are appreciative that you are shooting them straight. I don't like to bullshit people. I want to shoot them straight, and I just say, listen, this happens from time to time. I'm not going away. I'm going to go find a new partner. I got hundreds of them, right? But in this scenario right now, this might suck because I need another week or two. But guess what? I'm going to help cover some expenses. So the non-refundable earnest money isn't money that I keep. It's basically money that secures my relationship with a seller. right? And you probably haven't heard people talk about it like this, but it's a very, very good strategy to use when wholesaling because it eliminates deals from dying. I hate when deals die. I hate it because we spent so much time, money, effort, communication, you name it, getting to the finish line. So if you get there, do everything in your power to cross it. Don't just give up.
Well, that's fascinating. So you're taking the earnest money so that the end buyer, the cash buyer that backed out on you, you're taking that and you're giving it over to the home.
I've never kept it, ever. It's not my security. It's security to close that deal. So again, put yourself in the shoes of a seller. I have your property under contract. We're going to close next Tuesday. Friday night, my buyer calls me and says, hey, something hit the fan. Maybe bullshit. Maybe it's for real. Whatever. Okay, well, I got to call that seller now and say, we're not closing Tuesday. Well, that's a shitty phone call to make. Unless you got some money to give them. Hey, this isn't going towards the purchase price. This is because my partner screwed up, but he vested money in the deal. So guess what? I'm going to give it to you. Sorry, can I get another 2 weeks? Well, shit, you're going to give me $500? It doesn't come off the sale price? Hell yeah. I don't lose deals because I pad that in from the beginning, right? So, I mean, you guys should take that advice. It's wonderful. Hopefully you won't need it. But, Jim, what is it? 1 in 20, 1 in 30 deals. I mean, shit happens. They fall apart. And that just helps pad it, right? It just helps the retention.
So is there anything else on the B2C that we haven't, we really talked more about? So it's interesting, our focus really on the lead generation and getting the houses under contract. Because like on wholesaling, that's really the name of the game. The B2C is actually easier because if you have a good deal, getting the end buyer is.
You don't even need a buyer's list if you have a good deal. You got this little thing in your pocket called a cell phone that's millions and millions of dollars worth of technology that connects you to this little thing called Facebook. And on there's groups and there's a marketplace. And you can sell all of your deals there if, keyword, they are good and you bought them at a discount. Having a buyer's list is awesome. You don't need it.
Yeah. So is there anything else on the B2C that we haven't gone over that you do?
Not really. I mean, we stay in contact with them. We do have a closing coordinator that, touches base with them right whenever we get a contract signed, and then maybe a couple days prior to closing and then on closing. And we make it easy, man. We provide a level of convenience. If they can't move, but they need money to move, we'll front it to them and take it off at closing. We'll rent houses back to people. We will buy houses filled with trash. We just did one in South City that had 6 dumpsters that came out of it. We found a bunch of random shit in there. We found some treasure. We found some cash and some coins and some valuable stuff in there, which was kind of fun. Do that from time to time. But yeah, I mean, really, it's when would you like to close? Oh, you need 2 months? No problem. Like we in order for me to justify buying a property at a discount, I feel that there is a need for me to offer them a high level of convenience. And that level of convenience could be different. Again, we talked about the best, right? Being best for you. Well, same for them. That convenience is, what do they need? Is it that they need to close quick? Maybe they don't need to close quick. Maybe they have 3 months and they close any time. But their level of convenience is that they don't want to go there because a loved one died there, or they inherited it, or they live out of state, or whatever it is. It's always going to be something different, but just provide convenience to what they need, and you're going to create a win-win scenario almost every time.
Well, I really appreciate your time on this. Let's open it up for kind of like a live.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody has any questions, I'm here. I'm an open book, guys. So, I mean, one thing that I do want to reiterate, and just if you have a question, speak up. But we are in the marketing business, period. Right? Unless all you're doing is just buying properties rented, you're in the marketing business. So if you want to be a good real estate agent, a good real estate investor, you need to learn how to generate leads. I am kind of lazy. I already walked 4 miles this morning, so I'm not that lazy, but I don't like to work.
The easiest path to money.
I want the easiest path. So to me, it makes sense to spend money to get my phone to ring. If 3,000 people see my message and they don't call, that's 2,900 less people I got to talk to that don't have motivation. So I'd rather buy my leads than
Okay,
try to generate. Now, I do have people that cold call and cold text. I pay them, so I'm buying my leads. I personally don't do those things because I would rather barbecue or go to the park or,
okay, so I have
do
a,
anything else.
all right, so question came through. So, and if you guys want to unmute your mic and
Yeah,
ask,
just talk. I'm here for you guys.
so how
What's
much
up?
time does Dave spend in his business on a weekly basis?
In or on?
In is the question that was text.
So, I mean, all day, every day. I like to work. I don't sit still. If it's not, if it's not communicating with my team or trying to, figure out what lead we need to be following up with, I'm working on the next type of automation or looking and exploring new types of marketing. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't have to do it any particular time. It's just on my own time. So that's a tough question to answer, but I mean, I'm always on, guys. I mean, we're all in this mastermind together. You have my cell phone number. If you don't, I'll give it to you. Jim, give it to you. You can call me anytime. I'm happy to help.
It's in the deal hub. Like
it's in the deal hub. Boom. I mean, call me if you guys have questions. I'm happy to help. I like real estate, truly. Like most people, it's a job to them. It's a passion to me. I love it. So, I'm always working on something new. So here's something that I was thinking about I've been thinking about over the last 2 or 3 days. And I hope that you guys get a chuckle out of this. I'll try to keep it quick, but I have a coaching business and it does okay, right? Mike Slane's my partner on it. And, we've been trying to launch it or really just trying to grow it for the last probably 3 years. And we've had, 20, 30 students come through the system and we've had a lot of success. But the other day I'm sitting at home with my wife and we're chit chatting. And I'm just like, man, how come there's other people out there that are just crushing it in this business? And I'm having trouble generating leads. And it took me 3.5 months to learn this when I started wholesale. It took me 3.5 years, actually 4.5 years to learn this. But I'm in the marketing business. Why am I not marketing to find students? And I'm not. So we're launching Facebook ads next week, right? But like I talked about this earlier, Jim, that young guy that reached out to me, on my social media said, what was your biggest hurdle? It was dedicating money and or time to marketing. And it's like, I'm not even doing that in my other business of coaching. So now we are. So in this, if Mike's listening, he should be getting a chuckle out of this. One of his favorite quotes and sayings is, you are in the marketing business no matter what business you're in. You're a dentist, you're in the marketing business. How are you going to get people to come pay you to fix on their teeth, right? No matter what business you're in the marketing business. So I just really, really, really want to instill that in everybody that's listening right now, because without the leads, you got nothing, right? I tell this to some of my students as well too, right? They're always worried about step 27, right? Why does any of that matter if you don't have inventory or a property under contract? It doesn't. So let's solve those problems when we get there. But in the beginning, marketing, having lead generation, getting deals coming in, that's the most important part of any business. Without sales, you don't have a business.
It's amazing how simple this business really is. If you really think on like, what are the steps, like a critical path to doing deals? It's knowing your numbers and your buy criteria. We talked about that, what the best deal is for you. It's the lead generation. It's negotiating the deal. And there is a cash element involved, whether it's your cash or someone else's cash that it takes to get to the closing table to purchase a house. If you flip a house, you have to be able to work with contractors. That's 5 things, guys. That's it. And we think we go on bigger pockets or these bigger forums or you name it, and we think of all these other things like some 18-year-old kid made $100,000 on a land deal, or you hear all this other stuff. We live in a society that has information overload, and it's overwhelming because there's all these options. These 5 things, you focus on these 5 things, guys, you can make as much money as you possibly want to make.
Yeah, and I would take it to even the next level is focus on marketing, right? Yeah. Like just that until you have to start focusing on the other. But you're absolutely right. There's 5 components, but number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 can't happen. It's not even possible if number 1 didn't happen first. And that's generating the lead. So like anybody that's listening right now and they're struggling. So, sorry, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, so generating the lead and knowing if it's a buy or not.
100%. That's a part of it. That's definitely part of it. But
those 2
nothing else can happen without that. So if you're struggling to do deals, it's because you're not generating enough leads. So either you need to, spend some more money, and if you don't have it, save or put it on a credit card. It's not necessarily an expense. It's an investment. Change your mindset on that. Or dedicate more time to cold calling, texting, knocking, whatever that might be, networking. But yeah, I mean, we are in the marketing business no matter what we do. So
and you can do it. There's hustle, guys. So some of the best deals you can get are door knocking.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or
And
talking to agents that don't know, what you know.
Yeah, door knocking is free. So like it's money's not something that should stop you.
Nope.
You may have to be willing to spend 40 hours a week door knocking, or it's not. Don't expect it to happen an hour a week, right? If you don't have the money is really the leverage for getting a lot of numbers out really quick, like in direct mail.
That's the leverage. That's the automation, and that's the beautiful thing about this business is that you can trade money for leads, or you can trade time. So Mike and I, we refer to it as you can hunt or you can fish, right? It's very difficult to go out in the woods and simultaneously shoot 3 bow and arrows at 3 different deer. However, I can go to a lake and I can bring 100 fishing poles with me, and I can throw all those fishing poles in and have bobbers and sit back and drink a Corona or a Coors Light and wait for those bobbers. I prefer to fish all freaking day than hunt. It's only 2 ways about generating leads, guys. You can hunt or you can fish. Hunting is energy. It's time. You are trading time for leads. Fishing is money. You trade money. You generate leads via advertising and marketing, and people will call you or fill out your web form or whatever that might be.
So we do have another question that came in. Does Dave keep a list of cash buyers, and who manages that?
Yeah, so we used to have like 8,000 or 9,000. We basically went in about, 6 months ago, and we deleted everybody out of it that hadn't opened an email in like the last 60 or 90 days. So we've cut the list down to probably 2,500. But I don't want people that don't have a list or a small list to think that that's something crazy. Some of the best wholesalers that I know have buyers lists of 20 or 30 people on them. So having a big list isn't necessarily a good thing. It's all about quality over quantity with buyers lists. Not always. Sometimes you may have a deal that just lines up with people, but typically the people that are doing the most deals and having the most success, they have a couple buyers, they have a small list, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, we do have a buyers list, but everybody on this call has access to the Deal Hub, and I would imagine that the majority of the people that are on our list are on your guys' list too.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, again, having a buyers list is great. Definitely don't discount it, but don't let that stop you from doing number 1, because the buyers list is number 4 or 5. Am I wrong? Who gives a shit? Pardon my language, but who gives a shit about the buyers list if you don't have any freaking deals? So if you want to get started or you're not doing enough now, do more marketing. Focus on that. Figure out the buyers list later. Contact Jim. Contact me. We will help you sell these deals. But without a deal, sitting around all day trying to conspire about how am I going to build the buyers list, that doesn't make you any money. Not today, at least. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying get your priorities in line, right? And it's not a priority until it needs to be. What is the priority is generating leads. That's it, guys. It's so simple.
Hey, guys. It's Brian. How you doing?
Brian, what's up, dude?
Life is good, man. I can't complain. I've been the one submitting these questions, so sorry I got another one for you.
Oh, please.
You have your VAs saying when they're cold contacting.
Man, no scripts. So, I mean, okay, that's a great question. So we have a Podio form that they fill out. So they kind of have a script because there's information that they need to get, but it's not scripted. It may bounce all around. So the typical call is very basic. Dennis, Travis, another guy, Wes, whoever on the team. I even do it with some of the guys for an hour or 2 a week, just because it's just kind of fun sometimes. But basically, it's so simple. Ring, ring. Hello, hi. Is this Jane? Is this John? Is this Bryant? Yep, sure is. Great. My name is Dave or whoever. I'm with Household Easy. We're an investment company here in St. Louis. We bought a couple houses in your area recently or in your neighborhood recently. We're looking to buy more. Do you have interest in selling? That's it. Period. No, I don't have any interest in selling. Okay, cool. I appreciate you answering this call. We'll take you off the list. We won't bother you again. Or, oh, you do have interest in selling? Awesome. By the way, I'm an investor. I don't pay retail. Transparency, transparency, transparency. But if you have a house that you need to sell, we bought 3 or 4 in the zip code last month or last quarter, right? Or you guys that maybe don't have as much deals under your belt can say something along this line and you're not lying. My network of investors, me, Jim, John, Sarah, Joe, Angie, Scott, Chuck. I mean, this is the truth. My network of investors has bought 30 houses in that area last year. We would love to come take a look at yours. You know, when can we see it? Or can you tell me a little bit more about it? That's it. I mean, don't overthink it. When you call your friend or family because you want to talk to them or ask them a question, no different than calling a stranger. Just make a friend. If they tell you to kick rocks, laugh about it. Like, I don't get upset or frustrated when somebody tells me to fuck off. Pardon my language. You know, I look at it like, hey, that guy's having a bad day. Thank God I'm not a motivated seller. Next, move on. Sorry for that guy. Maybe we don't call him again. You're right. It happens. It's a numbers game. But yeah, and I'm not trying to downplay it, Brian, by any means, but like, you don't need a script. You just need to make a friend. Tell them that you have a service that you are offering, which is buying houses, and why, right? I always say, yeah, we buy because we have a portfolio of rentals and we love fixing up neighborhoods, which is what we do. You know, you can embellish it a little bit, right? I mean, you're in this for profits, right? But at the same time, you can bring a neighborhood back or increase values or find a nice family to rent and or buy from you. So it makes the seller feel comfortable knowing that you're not just going to buy that house and then sit on it for 8 months. You're going to start working on it. You're going to make it pretty again, and you're going to give it to a nice family, regardless if they're paying you rent, or they buy it off of you. Or you can wholesale it to somebody else who's going to do that same thing. So again, use that to your ability, that ability to your leverage, right? I didn't think I said that very, very good, but you guys catch my flow, right? You know,
Absolutely.
You are in a network. This Zoom call is an awesome network. I am so happy to be a part of this group, right? So use me and Jim and all of us as we are your team. So when you are on the phone, people just say, hey, we're buying houses in this part of town. We bought a couple recently. Never do they ask where. And if they do, I'll just go on the map and find a street 3 doors over and just be like, oh yeah, we bought one on this street or sold one on this street. Or maybe I do own one on that street. Like, I own 3 properties on Wismer in Overland. So when we get a lead that comes in, it's like, all right, I own 3105, I own 3107 or whatever that is. It's like, how far away is yours from that one? Cool. I'd love to buy it. I already own 3 there. You know what I'm saying? So just make a friend. Let them know that you can solve their problem, and be transparent. Tell them that you're an investor and you don't pay retail, because you're going to save yourself a shit ton of time. And it's basically like the first step of stopping. I got to figure out how to word this. It's the first step in the process of you stopping the chasing of leads. That came out terrible, but you guys get it.
I know what you're saying. I'm picking it up. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm here to help.
All right, guys. Well, we are over on time. Dave, thank you for the extra time and answering some of our questions.
No problem, guys. It was a pleasure.
Guys, for this particular show, go to doorstodeals.com/016. Again, that's doorstodeals.com/016. Go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Take care until next time, guys. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.